go ahead. I'll press record. So we'll have a focus today. So I have a few people interested today in working with triggers, specifically when we're in social situations and there's someone or something in the environment that is triggering us, perhaps from a past situation. And in both of these cases of people writing to me and a participant on this call, it's in relation to someone. So someone's in the environment, there's a trigger, it's bringing up like a past trauma or a past really stressful situation that happened to us. And so, how do we come back into ourselves? Because essentially, when we're triggered, it's essentially we're going back to the past. Like that is what a trigger is essentially. It's triggering our nervous system, it's triggering our thoughts into a place of a past experience with someone. And so we can often feel sensations like our heart starts beating faster. We might feel like a rise in temperature. We might feel tingling sensations in our body. And this is all just indications that our sympathetic nervous system is aroused, it's activated. And this can happen from so many different triggers. And so, how do we work with that in real time? And that's what several people were asking me, is like, when you're actually in that moment, how can I actually ground into myself so that I actually behave better in these moments? So we'll work with that in today's class. So let's just start with, first of all, just centering and grounding. So go ahead and take a seat if you're not seated. And if you can, have your feet flat on the ground. And so this is just to help connect to the ground, connect to the earth. And just notice yourself. So notice your body. You can even look at your body, maybe even touching your body. Feel your feet flat on the ground. Feel the parts of your feet that are in contact with the ground and the parts of your feet that aren't in contact. And then let your breath be really fluid. So we're not changing the breath in any way. We're just feeling the breath moving in and out of our body. And then you can keep your eyes open or you can close your eyes and bring one hand to your chest and one hand to your belly. And again, tuning into your breath, feel the breath moving in and out. And whether you're seated on the ground or you're seated in a chair, just feeling yourself really rooted to what you're in contact with, to the parts of your body that are in contact with another surface. And initially, let's just offer ourselves some self love and some gratitude for showing up, for taking the time to connect with ourselves, taking the time to connect with our bodies, all the experiences and sensations we have within our body and in relation to the environment we're in. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. And then tune into what it is in you that wants to be witnessed in this class, in this time together. What wants to be brought forth? What wants to be brought forth to be witnessed, to be transformed? So we have a theme with our exercises today, which is triggers. Triggers specifically around being in a space, being in an environment with someone or something that is bringing up a past trauma, is bringing up a past acute stress. And if there's anything else that you're wanting to bring forth, just bring it to mind. And then as your hands are on your heart and your belly, you're just offering whatever that is. You're offering it your attention. And with your attention, you're offering it your care. Because to work with something, we first need to acknowledge that it's there. We first need to acknowledge that we're triggered. And then gently bringing both of your hands onto the tops of your legs. So if you're sitting on a chair, this is ideal because your hands can be palm face down on the top of your thighs, but you can also place them there if you're seated on the ground. We're going to move into a little bit of breath work to start us off. So it's very simple breath work. We're simply elongating the exhale. And this is something, so everything that I'm teaching for the next 25 minutes together is what you can use in real time if you're in a situation where you're triggered. It's something that is good to use all the time, every day as much as you can, but definitely in a time when you're triggered. So having your hands relaxed, and when your hands are palm face down, it's already signaling to your body, it's signaling to your system like calm, groundedness. Okay, and when we have palms face up, it's more like we're receiving. When our palms are face down, it's like we're centering back in. Okay, we're bringing ourselves back to ourselves, which is what we want to do if we're in a situation and we're feeling flighty or we're feeling like we're not in our body. So again, your eyes can be open or closed. And we're simply going to elongate the exhale. So for the first few breaths, I just want you to breathe normally. And then you're going to start a count of 4 for your inhale and a count of 6 for the exhale. So inhale for 4, exhale for 6. And to start, we're going to have the breath just through the nose. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. And as you're doing this breath, feel your feet connected to the ground. Feel the backs of your legs connected to the surface you're sitting on. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. And as you're counting the breath, also stay in tune with how your breath feels coming in and out of your body. And if the thoughts start to wander, bring it back to your breath. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. And then let's slowly move into the exhale break being out the mouth. So it's a little bit of a sigh. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6. Continue with this breath and again, stay in contact with your body. Stay in contact with what the air feels like moving in and out. In contact with your feet. Make sure that you're not engaging the pelvic floor. So make sure your pelvic floor is relaxed. And do this for 6 more rounds. So a round is a full inhale and exhale. And as we lengthen the exhale, we are activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest nervous system. So it's what calibrates our nervous system when we get into a sympathetic state. So, sympathetic state is when we're aroused, when we want to fight or we want to run. And so, when we activate the parasympathetic, we're bringing in more calming energy into the body. So, last couple of breaths. We can let that breath go and just with eyes open or closed, just feeling if you notice any difference. So, what I'm wanting everyone to start to develop is a regular practice with embodied mind, with the nervous system regulation tools, so that when we're in these moments where we're activated, we're better able to not only calm ourselves, but ideally, we're better able to feel what's happening, right? Because when we're triggered, it's a direct indication that there's something from the past that hasn't dissipated from our system yet. So there's still residue there. There's still scar tissue. There's still stickiness there. So when we can feel, that's when we heal. So we have to feel to heal. So these exercises are both helping to calm, but we're calming in order to create more capacity to be able to feel the emotions that are rising, the sensations that are rising. And when we can simply feel without getting into a mental analyzation of everything, that's when things start to dislodge from the system. And then over time, we find the triggers are less and less. So that's the end goal. So we have our hands resting in our lap. Again, just feeling what's there. And if you can recall the situation, you can recall the sensations, the emotions that are there, just allowing yourself just to play with it a little bit, just for a couple moments of just feeling without needing to go into a story or without needing to go into any of the mental chatter around it. It's just feeling it. Then we want to bring our vagus nerve on board, especially I want to give you a couple of tools to just keep in your pocket for the stickier moments. So our vagus nerve is the nerve that's running from the the base of our brain down to our coccyx. And this nerve is related to the parasympathetic branch. So it's basically the switch that's going to help you move from sympathetic to parasympathetic. So there's a couple of tools, there's many exercises actually, but I'll show you a couple of them to activate the vagus nerve. So we're going to interlace our fingers. And we're going to put them behind our head. Let your head kind of press into your hands. So some of you have done this with me before, but we're going to activate the vagus nerve through our eyes, through the occipital branches of the vagus nerve. So our vagus nerve has little branches all throughout the body. And so we can activate it from different parts of our body to help tonify it so that it's working better. So at first, you're just going to stare straight ahead. You're going to let your shoulders relax away from the ears. And then without moving your head, you're going to bring both eyes all the way over to the right. So you're going to bring your gaze as far as you can, all the way to the right. And again, your head stays center. Stay connected to your breath. And some people might find that they start yawning, maybe a cough or swallow. And bring your eyes back to center. Take a breath. And bring your gaze all the way to the left. Again, not moving your head, just your eyes go all the way to the left. Let your breath be fluid. And gently bring the eyes back to center. Take a big breath and exhale out the mouth. And then let that go. And when you're doing that practice on your own, you can feel free to keep your eyes over to each side for a longer period. And then just kind of feel that changes anything. So it's balancing the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Relax the shoulders down. Let's move into a little bit of I'm gonna move my chair back so I'm more visible, but we're gonna start with just some self-touch. So whether we're triggered or not, our self-touch is absolutely critical in strengthening the connection with ourselves, with our nervous system, bringing our present awareness to the body. So you're just starting by kind of drawing these little circles from the tops of where your chest and your shoulder meet all the way down to your fingertips. And as you're doing this, I want you to keep your full attention to what you're doing. So if the thoughts start to wander, bring it back to this very simple, but very actually profound practice of you connecting with your body. You can even slow it down. For some people, it helps them get more present if they slow the movement down. For some, it's even helpful to pause for a few breaths and literally look at your hands. And even I like to just say to myself, this is me. You can keep with drawing the circles. So when you're bringing the connection to your body, it's signaling to your system, I'm safe. Okay. And so touch is everything, right? When we're infants, like an infant won't survive if they aren't touched. Like we need that sense of touch to feel safe. And essentially, when our sympathetic nervous system is activated, it's because we don't feel safe. Like we feel like that other person that's triggering us is threatening us. And so our instinct is like, I want to flee away from here or I want to fight. And that's very essentially, it's just the sympathetic nervous system activated because it still thinks that that situation with that person is a threat. And so the biggest thing we want to do is bring our attention back to ourselves, to soothe ourselves, reassure ourselves that that we are not under threat. Okay. And then I want you to bring that motion. I'm going to stand so people can see me better. So I want you to do it on your kidneys. So I'm going to draw these circles on your kidneys. So our kidneys play a very, very key role with our sympathetic nervous system. So what's sitting on top of our kidneys are our adrenal glands. And when we feel like we're under threat, our kidneys are going to lift up and we're going to activate the adrenal glands to release adrenaline because our body thinks we need to run away or we need to fight. And so we're going to need adrenaline for that. What happens when our system is constantly under a state of threat? So this happens with chronic stress. There doesn't even have to be a trigger. There's a chronic stress that's happening in our lives. When our bodies are continuously flooded with stress hormones, this causes a whole myriad of health issues that can come up. So we want a practice of nourishing our kidneys is a really great practice to have just as an everyday practice. Nourishing and tonifying the kidneys. And so taking a few moments, even closing your eyes. And as you're rubbing your back where your kidneys are, you're just offering some love. Offering your care and your attention to your kidneys. And even if your arms get tired, you can just rest your hands on your kidneys. And again, if your thoughts begin to wander, bring it back to the action that you're doing right here in this moment. You're simply giving your kidneys your attention, your love, reminding them that they don't need to be activated. They can relax. In Chinese medicine, the kidneys are also what govern our fear. Giving your kidneys some love and reminding them you're okay. I'm okay. I'm safe. And taking a big breath to let that go. And let's bring the self touch. We're going to bring it down the legs. So if you're still sitting, you can stand up. We're going to draw these circles all the way down the fronts of our legs and all the way down the tops of our feet. And even you can take a moment and pause as your hands touch the ground, like you're giving a lot of this extra gunk back to the earth. Almost like you're kind of like you're wiping this gunkiness out of the tissues back to the earth. And you can draw the circles down the backs of your legs and out into the ground. And then finish with the next couple of breaths, just putting a little more love to any place that you haven't touched yet, your upper back, wherever you feel like could use some more love. Maybe if you feel activated, you want a little bit more in the heart, your chest. Even both hands can go there. Let your breath be soft. And then we're going to bring a little bit of tonification in. So you have like a very loose fist. And again, we're just going to pat on the kidneys a bit. And coming around the front. Again, this is bringing your awareness to yourself, to your body, because when we have a lot of triggering happening, or when our thoughts are often in the future, or they're in the past, or they're in like a rumination of worry, we're completely disconnected from the body. And so actually bring your gaze to look at what you're doing, like you're connecting with your flesh, you're connecting with your body, you're connecting with your system. And just kind of let it go with a few swipes. And I want you to take a seat again. I'm going to lead you through a tracking exercise. So this is something that's really great to use anytime there's any sort of activation in relation to someone else. You don't have to be triggered, but if there's some sort of like a stickiness, and we can feel the anxiety in our body, this is an exercise, the tracking exercise, again, is bringing your full awareness back to yourself. And it's also keeping your boundaries intact, like your actual embodied physical boundaries intact from the other person, right? So it's like a remembering, it's reminding your nervous system, reminding yourself, like, that person is not a threat. So it starts, we have one hand on our heart. And we practice this with inanimate objects. So you can pick an object that's in front of you. So for me, I have a plant that's right in front of me. So we start the tracking exercise with first we tap on our chest. We even, for me, I like to even look down at my hand tapping my chest, and I say quietly to myself, I can say it out loud or I can just say in my head, this is me. This is me. And I look at the plant and I say to myself or out loud, that's a plant. This is me. So I'm bringing the awareness back to myself and I'm differentiating between an object in front of me and myself. So this is both soothing to the nervous system and it keeps you in the present moment. So again, this is me, plant. Me, plant. And then we can bring that. So if we're in an environment and there's someone, we can even just sit in a corner. We can sit with ourselves for a moment, ground, bring our connection back to ourselves, and begin the practice. Okay, this is me. That's a light. Or this is me. That's a hat. Whatever objects are in front of you. So let's practice it for a few more minutes. This is me. Plant. And then if there is someone, if there is a person in mind, after you've done it with an inanimate object, you can bring that person to mind. So whether they're in the same space as you or they're just occupying your thoughts too much. So I could say, I'll just say a name, Joe. So I'll say, this is me, Joe. And you're putting up your other hand like this, and it's in this literal, like illustrative context for your body. That person is separate from me. This is me, Joe. You have that person in mind when you're saying their name. This is me, Joe. Do it a couple of more times. This is me, object. One more time. And gently release it and just taking a few moments to just feel yourself. And I want to bring in a little guided meditation with some light breath work just to finish us off. So I want you to first just ground into your seat. For some people, it actually feels safer to their nervous system and they're more present if they have their eyes open. So you can play with that. Also, another trick I like to tell people if they're really caught in their heads, another trick I like to say when you're meditating, or sometimes helps for some people, so you can try it. For other people, it doesn't. But you're going to focus in front of you with your eyes open, and then you're going to softly kind of let your vision go to the periphery. So you focus what's right in front of you at first, and then you let your eyes move to the periphery. So you can try that out, or you can try with your eyes closed. And as the thoughts come in, bring your awareness to your body. What do you feel? And for some, that might be a lot of emotion. And that's okay. Allow yourself to feel. Allowing the body to feel so that you're not holding anything. So that the triggers slowly but surely start to fade away. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears. Just notice everything that you feel. Become so in tune with what you feel. You can even feel your clothes touching your skin. You can even feel the air touching your skin. You can feel your breath moving in and out of the body. Maybe there's some pain you feel, ache. So the more we do this work, the more we realize it's not so much about the pain emotionally or physically, but it's the bracing against the pain. So how can we allow ourselves to simply feel that beauty in the vulnerability? That strength that's in the vulnerability. Letting your breath be fluid. If you can, just even for a brief moment, notice the space between the thoughts. Notice that spaciousness, that silence. And come back into what you feel. And then again, as the thoughts arise, notice that little split second moment of that spaciousness between the thoughts. That vastness of which all of these sensations and emotions and triggers, pain arise from. And like little sips of awareness again and again. Notice that space. And then come back to what you feel in the body without going into thoughts. Stay here for just another moment. And gently let your eyes open and take a couple of big sigh breaths. All right. Thank you, everyone, for practicing, for showing up to Embodied Mind.